Welcome back to Digital Disappointment. Today we're going to cover a little bit of tutorial stuff for some of the end game content and other features that are... Calm down, we're getting to that. Other features that are new in the current era. For starters, if you take a horse and saddle it, and then, you ride it around, domesticate it, it's your horse. If you take the saddle off, it'll just continue to wander around aimlessly, as demonstrated by this one about 5 minutes ago when I logged in and couldn't figure out where he went or what that noise was. So yeah, we'll take the saddle off of him, and we'll just let him idle for a few minutes. These two stay exactly where I put them because they've got saddles on them. But once there's no longer a saddle on a horse, it's free to roam. An important tip for those of you who did not know that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so I just had to make a third saddle to demonstrate this because he was in danger of wandering all over the place. Saddle, 4 cloth, 2 iron ingots converted to rods, 16 leather. Not a huge price to pay for keeping them from wandering off on you. So let's put our stuff away that we didn't need. And we can talk on a few other things. Yeah, I hear ya. Alright, let's get this, and I think, oops, in, come on, there we go, in here, and in here. Okay, so, the fishing rod is something I'd like to touch on briefly. To use it, you put it in your hand, and you need water, natural occurring water, I'm assuming, not water that you've placed with a bucket or something. Why do you keep taking damage there? It's the second time you've done that. Alright, let's double check this. Okay, so it's on the right side, I think, is where we're taking damage. Shit, get out of the water. There we go. Alright, so, put your fishing rod in your hand, you left click, throws the bobber out into the water, and wait 5 or 10 seconds, it'll sink a little, and when you pull back, you'll get a fish of some sort. So far I haven't pulled up any junk, it's always fish. And the bait is automatically used from your inventory. Now, it's not 100% of the time, it seems to be approximately a 50-50 split. So if you don't have a lot of bait, you can still manage to catch yourself a bunch of fish, or whatever else they add to the fishing yields. So far it's just been fish that I've found. Let's take a look at those fishes. And of course, that horse isn't going to goddamn move, is he? Was it this chest? No, it was the other one. So far, I have found you've got salmon, perch, catfish. That's these 3. These 2 are perch. These 3 are salmon. There we go. You got salmon, perch, catfish, and fishbone. I'm assuming fishbone is probably not useful for much, but I haven't found a use for the other fish other than cooking them and eating them just as is, so I'm going to keep them as just raw fish for now. We've also got this here, the mining drill. Now we should talk about the costs of these things a little bit. The fishing rod is fairly inexpensive, and there it is, under utilities. You make a couple of thread reels at the spinning wheel right there, and you turn an iron ingot into rods, and you get some sticks, and you make your fishing rod. It's super cheap, and it's a pretty good source of meat if you don't want to constantly be fighting hostile critters. The mining drill, on the other hand, it's made at the other table. There we go. Tools, mining drill. 8 aluminum ingots, 8 tungsten, 8 copper, 8 iron ingots converted into plates, rods, and rods, and 16 gold ingots converted into plates. Gets you a mining drill. Sounds pretty expensive, but it's pretty awesome. It does not take long for you to do a lot of damage to a mineral vein when you find one. So let's take a quick wander down here and as you can see, I've managed to accumulate, I don't know, 3/4 of a stack of stone in a few seconds. It is stupidly effective and a great way for getting the building material to build your base, rather than going and digging individual blocks of stone one tedious piece at a time. So that's the mining drill. We also have a chainsaw to play with. The chainsaw requires not as much material, 32 iron ingots turned into plate, and then 4 copper, tungsten, aluminum converted to rods. But it's pretty sweet. These big, tall pine trees here that I've got all around my base normally take a long time to chop down. It's like 9 whacks with an axe. Or you can use this thing and go... In 2 seconds, it's converted into a pile of logs. Now, when you do it with the chainsaw, you do sometimes have to chase them down because they're falling straight down after you cut them up, and they tend to go all over the place. I don't know where the rest of them went. I'm not that concerned with it because we've got other cool stuff to check out. Okay, that is not the thing I was... There we go. Okay, so this is the weed eater. It's pretty good, and it's not terribly expensive if I remember correctly. The weed whacker is cheaper than the other two. It's 16 iron plate, and then 4 ingots of tungsten and aluminum converted into rods. And while it doesn't yield grass the way that the sickle does, it does tear this stuff down at record speed. So if you find yourself looking for stuff in a patch of this long grass, like say that tree we just knocked down, you can just take the weed whacker and buzz all of this grass out of your way until you find what you're looking for. Or if you want to clean up the area around your place, there you go. You can easily just buzz the grass down to a velvety green carpet and not have to deal with the usual mess. You know, one sickle at a time. Alright, so that's the 3 upgrades from dealing with sickles and axes and picks. We also have an upgrade to the sledgehammer. The steel sledgehammer requires 16 iron ingot and 2 stick, but it is the most efficient thing out there for block removal. 1 whack, 1 block. None of this screwing around with 2, 3, 4 whacks. You're tearing walls down really quick. That is how I've got some of the material I've used for this is tearing down the fancy little underground temple that I found, tearing down the walls in that place, and stealing the materials. So I have played with them quite a bit, and they're fantastic. I love them. The ore detector is really cool too. I should actually show you what it costs. It's not super expensive. if we go in here to tools... Oh, is the ore detector not on this table? The ore detector might not be on this table. The tool you're looking for is on the other table. 8 aluminum rod, so that's 2 ingots. 1 ingot of tungsten and copper, 1 of iron, 1 of gold, and you get the ore detector. With the ore detector, you can right-click to cycle through the different ores. Okay, I believe it starts out with all ores as the default. And then you just take it for a walk. Oh, look at that, we got a bip. Okay, so it's showing you the distance is the low to high indicator. So the higher that needle gets, the closer you are to the ore. If you right-click to cycle through, it'll tell you what it's not. It's not aluminum or iron. Oh, well, look at that, it's copper. Not terribly surprised. But you can then... I'm going to dig down over here. Alright. Oh, there we go. Is that our copper? That it is. Okay, perfect. So now I'll just throw this away. And the copper is just on the other side of this. Probably 1 or 2 stone blocks, 1 or 2 blocks away. There she is. Let's put a torch down in here so I can see. Oh, I don't have torch mounts. Alright, well, you got the idea. The ore detector works pretty slick. And you can very easily shred a deposit of it. Whatever mineral you find, pretty quick. So, that is the ore detector. It's a very worthwhile investment. Without it, it would have taken me a lot longer to get the resources for the first 3 toys that I showed you, or the mining drill, chainsaw, and the bench to build them, rather. This bench here is kind of expensive. It was painful. It's a crafting station, tier 2. Requires 8 ingots converted to rods on top of 32 in plate form, so that's 40 iron and 4 aluminum, which is it's a lot of materials at the time, but when you realize that this is how you're going to get to these sweet devices that I've built, it's pretty worthwhile. So I'm gonna call that our tutorial for today. That will cover the fancy new toys and the quick update regarding the horses and saddles. Of course, this horse is now making me a liar because it was walking around right before I started recording and threw a saddle on it. So, test for yourself, see if I was wrong. Thanks for tuning in to Digital Disappointment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you check out some of our other content.